Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm no laser expert. In fact, those things could be built with a flux capacitor in them, and I wouldn't know. If you got that reference, just leave me a comment down below. And if you'd like to see this innovative new tool, stick around. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sarah from rufflesandrainboots.com. Now, when xTool asked me to review this laser, I am somebody who believes in doing things scared. I say yes, and I figure it out.
Do things scared and say yes.
And that's exactly what I did. So for those of you who don't know, xTool came out with a new laser whose focus is on safety mixed with precision and power. I am going to be talking over the unboxing to tell you about what I think the good features of this machine are. Now, if you're like me and not a laser person, I hope it's going to be entertaining. I appreciate you being here if you choose to stop this video now or not. Okay, so I'm going to leave our initial reactions when we unbox this thing. We were so impressed with the packaging. xTool does an amazing job there. And we didn't have any indication, so we thought these were going to be great carrying straps. We removed the foam toppers, put them back together, and carried them through the entire house to my craft room, which is in the back corner. For those of you wondering, I could absolutely lift this myself, but my husband can't operate a camera straightly, so he gets to move it. Now, once inside of my craft room, I started unboxing, started removing the tape. We got emergency stop. We got this cool safety lid. We don't have to use goggles, but before you keep going, sit down with the user manual and your favorite beverage and just read it cover to cover. It really does help. Now, for those of you wondering about the safety, obviously we don't need goggles. This is a class 1 safe material. We have automatic fire detection. We have a lot of safety stops in this thing. Next up, I sat down and unboxed it with this page open just to make sure I had everything. And of course, it was all there, including the keys to operate it. Love that. Thank you. And the fact that it comes with materials always makes me so very happy, so you can get started. It's not plug and play, but it's very much close. It also comes with a really cool musical instrument. Woo! All right, back to the unboxing. Everybody loves the triangle prisms. You put this under the material on the bed. I'm using a honeycomb for most of my work though. The 40-watt module is a compressed set of smaller diode lasers. I cannot tell you, so I'm just going to show you a little bit later. The amount of detail it can get in a 40-watt dot is impressive. It also is insanely fast, and I'm going to show you this system here. We got rails, we got a gantry. This thing is beefy. Now, I mentioned it wasn't plug and play. We do have to put together a couple of things. The first is, tells you right on these big yellow stickers, remove the limiter piece with the provided screwdriver. I did all of this myself, and I was up and operating in about 20 minutes, so if you're worried about putting this together, don't be. You will have to go and add the venting, whatever your venting setup is. I'll show you mine in just a second. I removed the louver set in the back here, and I will just pop this in here and say this exhaust fan is much more powerful than my M1. It was a little dirty, so I cleaned it before. This thing fits so well. I was very impressed. Pop those screws back on. Now, we're going to turn it around and we're going to look at the two side by side. So I have my xTool M1 and the S1 on a 55-inch table, and I put the Auto Magical Air Assist right on the back of the S1. Now this is probably one of my favorite things since sliced bread. We can operate it manually, or we can do the auto settings, which once you get it connected with your software, you go into working info, scroll down, and you can automatically set what your auto settings will be. I am still playing with this, but I love this. In case you're working with 1-2 things, you can actually just set this up and go without worrying about it. Looking at the back of the Air Assist, it's actually very easy. We got a plug and we've got a hose. Thank goodness xTool made this easy. We plug in, you have multi-ports here for your rotary or your conveyor system or whatever, and you have one more opening for a hose with regard to the fire suppression kit. Now coming under, I'm going to show you my setup. Yours can look very differently. You do not have to have this. I'm inside, so I have the air purifier. Each of my machines shares this air purifier. You can see my clamp adjuster for the M1. I just swap them out right now on whichever machine I'm using. Now the air purifier then vents out the back of it, and I put that outside. I just cut this from some foam I got at the hardware store, and I take this in and out of my window when I'm using the machines. Now let's talk a little bit about how the machine works and some fun projects that I've already done. So I'm going to show you the bed of this laser is quite large. It's not the largest, but because it's all enclosed, I am impressed. Not only am I impressed with the size, this thing is so well lit. Additionally, I didn't have it at the time of filming, but I have the riser and the rotary also is very easy to set up. Now this is the distance sensor. It's like a switchblade and it pops out when the system is indicated. It, however, has a really cool safety feature. It will automatically dislodge from the laser module if it catches on anything. I appreciate that because the first day I actually caught it on something and I was happy I didn't have to replace it. Now you can see because I had no starting parameters, I put a nice little tattoo onto my laser bed. I'm told you can use the dull side up of aluminum foil to prevent that. I'm going to pop in my honeycomb all the way to the right and to the front, pop in some basswood, and I really appreciate the update to the magnetic pins. It's nail friendly. I really like it. Just make sure those are down when you're processing any material. Now let's measure something with our auto distance sensor and see how that works. You can position this laser crosshair anywhere over the material. When you come into your software, just click the little auto measure or auto distance button here, and what happens in the machine is pretty cool. It'll throw out that little distance sensor, touch it to the material, come across and touch it to the table. It will reset and provide the distance measurement to the machine or to the software. Now, here is my biggest anxiety inducing, like, how do I use this if there is no camera? If that's your question, I get it too. I'm going to show you. I figured it out on day one with no help. You can too. So I put the laser in the top left corner, and then I'm going to put it in the top right or bottom right corner. And what that looks like is in the software, you'll hit start marking, and this little instruction will come up. You have to mark your start and stop. I put my crosshairs to where the whole entire beam is on the material, and then I hit the start. It'll lock in the X and the Y vertex points. Then you grab the gantry and you just move it. It's really cool because in the software, it's actually plotting that laser crosshair exactly within this machine. All right, so now I'm at the bottom right of whatever processing area. I'm going to hit start and it locks it in. By the way, I have done circular objects, oval objects, odd-shaped objects. They all work. I'll be sharing those projects soon. When you hit done, now on your workspace, you have this boundary that you've just set. That red crosshair is the actual position of the laser. Now you can do this marking before a project, after a project, during a project, because we have the ability to come over here, hit trash it, and remark it. Now you can watch the laser moving in this actual, like on the right hand side over there, when we're popping in our new vertexes. Once we have that in, you'll see that the green bounding box and laser head have moved. We just move our material in for processing. Now at the time of filming, I didn't have my riser or my rotary cord, but I'm going to be sharing those projects soon. I am super excited to try the curve process. Laser cylindrical is for the rotary, obviously, but this curve process, ooh, I'm going to buy a flask just so that I can use this. Bowls, anything that's got an angle, plaques, you will be able to work on concave and convex material by multi-distance plotting. I'm going to show some projects that I was able to work on. This only took 3 minutes. I'm telling you, when you get a process down, this laser is so fast. It's actually pretty amazing in that I was able to get insane wood detail on my engravings. I was also able to cut very cleanly some materials I shouldn't have been. This is a clear flex in blue, came out beautifully. Now I did also run acrylics through it. I ran a whole bunch of colors that cut well, and you can see this pink is a white core, which does look a little jagged, so I'll be changing my settings on that. Stay tuned for projects. So now that I've had a while working with the xTool S1, I have a couple of bits of feedback and even a tip. Now, the first thing, I don't understand why it's not included, and I hope it is included after the machine goes live, and that is a grid on the base plate of the S1. Right now, it's just a big, empty, black sea of metal. And why that matters is, number one, we are going from cameras with lasers with cameras to absolutely no cameras. So positioning is already a point of anxiety. If we put that grid onto the base plate of the laser, we not only will be able to position material exactly, but we can match up everything inside of the software. It will also help with my pet peeve number 2. And that is something, I don't know if other people are bothered by this because I'm filming this well before the machine is released. And I hope somebody else gives me a workaround or whatever, but the actual honeycomb and the bed of the laser do not measure the same. So there is 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inches on the left-hand side that have nothing there. So instead of the honeycomb sitting in an exact position, the user manual tells you to just push it to the right of the laser and towards the front. That is not exact. And so I am unsure if a grid would help on the base plate to position that honeycomb, or if there's some workaround or trick. I'll watch all the videos after the laser is released, but again, not sure if it bothers anybody else, but it did bother me. Okay, so the next one is a huge request that I have, and I hope to see it in a software update. And that is kind of hard to explain, so I'm going to use this as an example. So when you set your boundary box, pretend this outside piece is our boundary box. When we set that, we then move our whatever we want process, we move our design into that box and place it. I would like to see an auto snap feature that takes our design and pops it right in dead center of that boundary box. That would be extremely helpful. There are ways to work around it. I've created shapes, put the design in it, centered where the shape is the exact size as the boundary box, if that makes sense. But an auto snap feature, whether it's to the center or the top left right or the bottom right, no, top left or the bottom right, that would be extremely helpful, and I hope that I see that in the software. The third thing is probably the easiest thing to fix, and that is give a girl a longer cord. I need at least another meter so that I can safely be near my machine, but not right on top of it. Give me a longer cord that goes from my S1 to my computer. Just a meter, a couple feet. And finally, here's my workflow tip. If you are somebody who is coming from working with a laser, which has a camera, and you are not framing, go ahead and start framing. Add framing to your workflow. And the reason I say that is because it saved me a lot of time, frustration, and wasted material. I hope this has given you a good, quick look into the xTool S1. I have been very impressed, not only with the auto distance measuring, but the amazing dynamic positioning. I honestly haven't missed that camera. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you liked it, please like the video, hit that button down below to subscribe, and I sincerely appreciate you being here.